listening to Unravel with Natly Denise.
Hey guys, I'm trying to chew really fast, so I apologize. I was hoping that I can scarf this down before I start my pod. And you know what? I'm just gonna stay in my robe because I like to. Okay. I'll tell you what happens. When I bake anything, I have to put the AC down in my place below 70 degrees. Otherwise, the smoke detector gets super duper sensitive and it goes off. Doesn't matter what I cook. Doesn't matter what heat temperature. It's not even on the precipice of burning. Just the smoke detector just goes off and it's so annoying. So in order to avoid it, I put on the _. I put on the AC super low so that way whenever I bake, it won't, set it off too quick. Good evening, guys. Welcome to Nightly with Natly, a segment of Unravel with Natly Denise. So glad to have you guys. I'm sorry that I am so late today. I'm uploading the Ghislaine Maxwell trial day 6 recap right now as we speak. So it says 12 more minutes. So it's probably going to upload in the midst of us doing news here. What else? Nightly with Natly. So this week, on the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, I will not be doing a Nightly with Natly. So the last 3 days of this week, I will be traveling. So just so you know, there will be a 3-day gap. There'll be a 3-day gap. I look a little bougie with this. This is nothing but a Hello Kitty robe. I've had this robe for years. I've had it. I think I've had it since I was in high school, to be honest with you, because I was obsessed with Hello Kitty. This is what it looks like. You see it? I think I've had this robe since I was in high school, to be honest. It's in good shape. It's nice and comfy. I love it. It's very quick to put on. It's warm. Anyway, all right, let's get to it. Woo-hoo, let's share the news. I got some juicy Smollett updates. This Ghislaine Maxwell trial got me super wrapped because there's so many details that come out of a day. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot that happened today, a lot that unraveled. No pun intended, but also juicy Smollett happened today. Let's get to some of those details. This has been a very interesting. I mean, you remember back when Juicy Smollett made his fiasco, how much of a big deal it really was? Because first of all, there were of course, the people who suspected everything who were I don't really know about all that. And then there were the people who were just absolutely question nothing. We stand behind Juicy Smollett, and if you question, then you're a racist and all these things, Okay, now the AC's off, so now it feels super warm in here. So, and then people were he's super, you're gonna be racist if you even talk about Juicy Smollett in that way or whatever. But then it ended up being a lot of details just were undeniable. And so anyway, we're at the trial, and now I guess it's being overshadowed by the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. But anyway, nonetheless. Check out this headline. Juicy Smollett takes stand in his own defense and testifies that he visited gay bathhouses where he took drugs and masturbated with one of the Nigerian brothers who beat him up. What? Walla Walla, what? I'm sorry. Juicy Smollett said this about himself? Let me just make sure this is not a spoof site. dailymail.co.com. /news/article-1028121. Yeah, it's a real article. Let me read that again. Juicy Smollett takes a stand in his own defense and testifies that he visited gay bathhouses where he took drugs and masturbated with one of the Nigerian brothers who beat him up. All right, let's get that was a mouthful in itself. Juicy Smollett admitted to hooking up at a gay bathhouse with one of the 2 Nigerian brothers who he allegedly hired to beat him up as the fired Empire actor took the stand Monday in a last-ditch effort to sway the Chicago jury in his trial for lying to the police about being the victim of a hate crime. Smollett, in other words, testified that he and Abimbola Osundairo had been to a gay bathhouse together, and they had done drugs and masturbated together in a private room. He's just trying to drag him. He's just trying to drag him right in with him, ain't he? Oh gosh, man, what? Okay. Smollett's attorneys have claimed it was a real attack and that Osundairo and his brother Olambingo made up the story about the hoax, then asked Smollett, for $1 million each to not testify against him at trial. Osundairo admitted that he had gone to the bathhouse with Smollett when he was cross-examined last week on stand by the defense lawyers, but testified that there was no relationship between the two, and he was unaware if the bathhouses they had gone to were frequented by gay people. Smollett contradicted those claims, saying, man, Smollett just keeps digging his hole bigger and bigger and deeper, don't he? Smollett contradicted those claims, saying he and Abimbola got a private room and there was some touching. The actor also said there was gay pornography in the bathhouse walls. Then he said that Abimbola had been to the same bathhouse together at the second time after leaving a strip club with Abimbola's brother Olambingo. Wow. Moving on. He went alone. He got a private room again. Smollett said, we made out a little bit and this time we masturbated together. He also said he felt under immense pressure when starring on Empire, claiming actor Lee Daniels told the actor that he was for gay black men at the Felicia Rush. I'm sorry. Let me start that. I didn't understand how that played together. He also said he felt he was under immense pressure when starring on Empire, claiming creator Lee Daniels told the actor that he was for gay black men, what Felicia Rashad was for black women on the Cosby Show. Okay, what? The pressure was part of what made him turn to drugs, which Abimbola Osundairo supplied him with, according to Smollett. Smollett testified to paying $200 to Abimbola for cocaine. The actor said Abimbola would often sit and smoke weed with Jussie in his car in a regular ritual. Smollett said that he had a decidedly different relationship with Abimbola's brother Olambingo Osundairo. Smollett said he didn't know if Olambingo very well and was creeped out by him. He said that his friendship with Abimbola was not something to shine a light on in Olambingo's presence. Jussie spoke out. I cannot speak. I just spoke like an entire hour for the Ghislaine Maxwell. I apologize. Jussie then spoke out about how he hired the two brothers for a nutrition program, as Empire creator Lee Daniels and him were 30 pounds overweight. Smollett said he had to put on a significant amount of weight and wanted to get in shape. I wanted to be shirtless in the music video, so we were prepping for it. Experts thought the actor might decide to take a star turn in the witness box because of the damning testimony presented by the prosecution, which rested its case on Thursday. Smollett is charged with 6 counts of felony, disorderly conduct. Prosecutors say it was a false police report at the alleged attack. 1 count for each time he gave a report. Oh man, I don't even want, it's just so ridiculous at this point. Is that the same bathhouse that O goes to? Oh, I mean, that's a good idea. That's a good question. I don't know. That is a good question. Maybe. For those of you that are asking, I am wearing Haruth Mauve on my lips today, and this is a 100% charitable piece, so completely separate from my collection. And this, every cent of the purchase price of this goes towards human trafficking rescue and aftercare. So for those that are asking, thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, moving forward. Better.com founder, 43, who fired 900 lazy staff before Christmas on Zoom once they threatened to staple his business partner to the wall. What? Oh, okay. There's one guy. He fired 900 people of his staff, and then he threatened to staple. No, it's not funny. 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 He once threatened to staple his business partner to the wall and burn him alive for accusing him for stealing $3 million from a company. That's a bit extreme. It's not funny because that's a very serious threat. But my goodness, the amount from 0 to 1,000, it went like at the viscosity, at the at the rate that it just went right now, like that was pretty extreme. The founder of online mortgage broker 𝘗𝘪𝘁.com, who infamously fired 900 workers in a Zoom call just 3 weeks before Christmas, has a checkered business past with multiple shell firms, and once threatened to staple a former business partner to the wall and burn him alive. Like, you're gonna staple him though? Like you're gonna staple him to the wall? Vishal Garg, 43 years old, shot to infamy over the weekend after a Zoom call. He fired 9% of his staff for being so lazy they effectively stole from the company. At least 2 current employees told Fortune that Garg was renowned for being erratic on 𝘗𝘪𝘁's internal Slack messaging system and company emails. Garg, who lived in a 17,000 a month, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom Tribeca apartment with his wife, Sarita James, and their 3 children, has also been in a long-running legal battle with a former business partner who accused him of moving at least $3 million in a company fund to his private bank accounts. Raza Khan met Garg while they were students in New York University in the 90s and sued him in 2013 after noticing inconsistencies with their finances in their company, MRU. During the deposition, Garg threatens Khan and that he would staple him against the effing wall and burn him alive. Wow. Garg later apologized during the deposition for letting his emotions run out of control. I would say. I mean, wow. Garg also came under fire in August after it was reported by the Daily Beast that one of his closest executives, Alana Noller, was given stocks potentially worth tens of millions of dollars, $8,000 per month for 2 homes and other perks. Noller was eventually placed on administrative leave for bullying. During his now infamous firing announcement on Zoom last week, the CEO, whose net worth and salary are unknown, accuses employees of being so lazy they effectively stole from the customers. He reportedly has a history of erratic workplace behavior, vulgar language, according to former employees speaking to Forbes. He also has been accused of manipulating financial documents. I mean, what a nightmare. He told the 9% that he fired last week that the market has changed and has savage cuts and were needed to avert the disaster. The company, however, is expected to have $1 billion in its balance sheet and go public with $7.7 billion valuation after backing from SoftBank. I mean, wow. That's all you need to really know about that. That's horrendous. I'm so glad I'm out of the corporate world. The velocity. I'm so glad I'm out of the corporate world, y'all. Like, this sounds crazy, but like, people really be like that in the corporate world. Like, people don't care. And like, when you're a number in the corporate world, anything goes, and you can be replaced in an instant, just like that. I'm so glad I'm out. I'm so, like, there's sometimes where there's questionable with certain things, am I going to make it this month, or am I going to make that or this? But like, at the end of the day, like, I'm doing what I love, and I know that God's going to come through somehow. But baby, I tell you, like, towards the end of my career, or, not to say that I can't ever go back, but yeah, I'll just say, for manifestation purposes, towards the end of my career as an analyst in the corporate world, I was miserable. You're just a number. You can be replaced. If the work you do is not good enough, you work harder and you have to stay until like midnight doing it was just a nightmare. Crazy. Moving on. So the Ghislaine Maxwell trial is going on. It's underway right now. And we are walking into the Daily TrafficK. And as the Ghislaine Maxwell trial is underway, we wonder about Prince Andy. Yeah, Prince Andy has been noted and mentioned a couple times in this trial, whether it be that he flew the Lolita, that he was seen. There were FAA records that were obtained by Markets Insider, and they now determined that there were at least 4 Lolita rides that Prince Andrew took. Through all of this and through his disastrous, what was it? The interview he did with 60 Minutes, I believe Australia or UK. There was like a 60 Minutes or a BBC special like 60 Minutes that completely obliterated his entire image, his entire narrative, because he kept stumbling, which, by the way, I should actually bring this up tomorrow. I'm gonna actually do a piece on Alec Baldwin, because there's a lot going on with Alec Baldwin and this incriminating interview he did with 60 Minutes. But anyway, I'll bring that up tomorrow. Today I was super busy with Ghislaine Maxwell. But back to Ghislaine Maxwell. You know, Prince Andy is really implicated, and he's even incriminated himself with a lot of statements and a lot of contradictions. Well, Sarah Ferguson says that she's still standing by him. Sarah Ferguson says she is the most persecuted woman in the royal history and confesses she still loves and stands by Prince Andrew as Ghislaine Maxwell's sex trafficking trial continues. That's right. Yep. There's nothing that can separate our love, even if you are a, horrific, implicated pedophile, to one of the most prolific child traffickers in modern day history. Still standing by him. The Duchess of York has insisted she is the most persecuted woman in history of the royal family in an interview with French magazine. Sarah Ferguson, 62, compared herself to a reed that won't break during the interview at Madame Figaro, saying that it is in her DNA to overcome adversity. Fergie also confessed she still loves Prince Andrew, 61, and that she stands by him, even in the face of sexual assault accusations made by Victoria Giuffre, which the prince denies. Giuffre has claimed the Duke forced her to have sex at the London home of the former Epstein's associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, and had abused her at Epstein's home in the Manhattan and U.S. Virgin Islands. She was 17 at the time at the alleged abuse. Sarah's comments come as Ghislaine Maxwell's Sarah's comments come as Ghislaine Maxwell, former friend of the late pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, faces a sex trafficking trial in New York, which Prince Andrew has been named several times by the pilot, by the witness accusers. Yes. And not just a trial, the FOIA records that just came back from Markets Insider, as well as what else? Yeah. That's enough. I mean, that's well enough. Referring to the negative media coverage she suffered for years following her separation from Prince Andrew in 1992, Fergie explained, "I was maybe the most persecuted woman in history of the royal family, but I'm still here. The bruised reed that doesn't break is in my DNA." Speaking of her ex-husband, with whom she still lives with at the Royal Lodge in Windsor, she said her wedding day was the most beautiful day of her life. She added, okay, what does Sarah Ferguson know? What does the royal family know? You know what I mean? Like, how could anybody, they're really tripling down now. Really tripling down. The mother of two said her daughters are her priority, and she added she never misses any of their calls, always ready to lend them a compassionate ear. She said that being a mother was one of the things she's done best with their life. Okay. Susan, okay, let's fast forward. She said she was approached by a French production company about her novel's movie rights. Or, I'm sorry, she made a novel. Okay, she wrote a novel about a novel for movie rights. Sarah's latest comments come as Maxwell faces allegations of recruiting minors for the late pedophile Jeffrey Epstein to sexually abuse from 1994 to 2004. Andrew has been mentioned 3 times in the trial so far by Jeffrey's pilot, Larry Fasowski, by one of the victims, Jane, who said she remembered Andrew on the plane, and by his former housekeeper, Juana Lessie, who said Andrew was always polite and a very nice guy. He's the only guy who left us a tip. Andrew has been accused by Epstein's sex slave, Virginia Giuffre, for raping her, allegations in which he denies. Giuffre, who has filed a related civil lawsuit against Andrew but is not part of the criminal case against Maxwell, has described Epstein's former madame as Mary Poppins figure who made young girls feel comfortable as they were being lured into the pedophile's web. Maxwell is known to have introduced Prince Andy to Epstein. Ms. Giuffre has sued the Duke of York, alleging he had sex with her more than 20 years ago when she was a minor under U.S. law. The civil lawsuit is expected to be heard before the jury in late 2022. Andrew has not been criminally charged and has been unequivocally denied the allegations. On October 11, Scotland Yard decided to take no further action over accuser Virginia Roberts' allegation that she was trafficked in London as a 17-year-old and forced to have sex with Andrew after its officers reportedly spoke with her. It was also to take no further action over claims that the financier, Epstein, groomed and abused other young women in Britain. All right, pivoting on. Boy, I tell you though, this Ghislaine Maxwell trial, ooh, wee, boy, we're only, 6 days in? How many more days? How many more days do you guys think? It's going to run until, oh, you guys are commenting. You guys are commenting. Yeah. How many more days do we have? We did 5 last week. It's supposed to last, 6 weeks? So 30-ish days in total. So we got about 25 more days. That's about another month and a half. So we can probably see, I mean, if, it doesn't get prolonged, we could probably see the Ghislaine Maxwell trial stretching until maybe February-ish, maybe a little more. What do you guys think? But I can't wait to cover, the Virginia Roberts Giuffre one, though. I cannot wait to cover, not that I want, not that we're looking forward to it, but I want to know more about these details with, Prince Andy and the things that are alleged, alligated. That's not alligator, alleged. Sorry, excuse me. I've been talking so much today. Ooh. All right, moving on. So we always question the open borders, right? There's a lot of propagated possibilities that could happen. In fact, there's a lot of contextual clues that, children can't be contacted, as reported by Axios. There was a governmental report that about approximately 40% of these children that cross into the United States unaccompanied, 40% at least, cannot be contacted. Their sponsors will no longer respond. What happened to that? Well, we stopped talking about it. They stopped reporting on it. But nonetheless, stuff is still happening. People are still crossing the border. And even so, everybody's argument is, oh, everybody deserves a chance. That's the big argument, right? Or more so a certain side's argument is, oh, this is not, this is not our land. This is everybody's land. And, this was, everybody has a chance for the American dream. That's usually the argument. Well, how about when they're actually being coerced and trapped and frauded, held against their will? A human trafficking ring. This is in Georgia. This is from the Daily Mail. This is in southern Georgia. Human trafficking ring trapped hundreds of migrant workers picking onions for 20 cents per bucket in South Georgia as part of a years-long $200 million operation that saw 2 die and another repeatedly get raped. This is just an example of what happens. You guys think that This has happened for years in southern Georgia. You don't think that there are other farms that are utilizing migrant workers? Come to the United States, and they lure them, come to the United States. You're going to get a job. We already have a job lined up for you. Absolutely. You're going to get a job. You're going to get all this. This is the way they lure them. And then they get trapped and held against their will at farms like this or forced labor. It happens. A modern day slavery ring has been busted in Georgia, where workers were raped, kidnapped, and imprisoned in squalid camps, according to the prosecutors. The crooks raked in more than $200 million by luring in over 100 desperate migrants from Mexico and Central America to the U.S., a federal indictment says. At least 2 people died. The brutal conditions that saw workers forced to handpick onions at gunpoint for just 20 cents per bucket in sweltering heat, and other as repeatedly kidnapped and raped. They were kept in squalid camps around the electric fences, or cramped, living in quarters including dirty trailers with raw sewage leaks. The migrants were also reportedly had their passports and documents taken from them to deter them from escaping. 24 members of the alleged gang have now been indicted on mail fraud, forced labor, money laundering, and witness tampering charges following a 3-year multi-agency federal probe in what is known as Operation Blooming Onion. 2 of the defendants are described as South Georgia business owners. Most are contractors and recruiters. And this is the supposed warehouse facility. There were essentially 3 aspects of the alleged human trafficking operation: misusing the H-2A visa program to bring in workers from Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras under a pretext of being agricultural workers, abusing and exploiting the workers to make money, and laundering the proceeds through big cash purchases, cashier's checks, and casinos. Investigators have dubbed the gang the Patricio TCO, a transnational criminal organization, after Maria Patricio, a 70-year-old resident of Nichols, Georgia. She is accused of filing fraudulent petitions to bring workers into the United States via the country's H-2A work visa program. Patricio has pleaded not guilty to the charges against her, Vice reports. Under H-2A, a worker's legal status is contingent on remaining under the employment of the party and sponsored their visa. This means that they are tied to that sponsor and cannot simply pick up sticks and work for someone else. Starting in at least 2015, the criminals started to haul in thousands of workers, allegedly promising them that they would be paid under the terms of a contract, typically $10 to $12 an hour, and would be provided with transportation, housing, and food. The criminal enterprise would then send dozens of false petitions to the government seeking more than 71,000 laborers for an agricultural employer. The U.S. then issued thousands of these visas on foreign nationals. Georgia is second only to Florida for most H-2A workers in the nation. Since the more than 100 victims were brought into southern Georgia under the program and were kept in cramped, unsanitary quarters in camps with little to no food, limiting plumbing, and without safe water, according to the indictment, migrant workers were also allegedly charged unlawful fees they couldn't afford, and some were illegally forced to do lawn care, construction, and restaurant work. Others were threatened with violence or deportation, the indictment states, and they would coerce the workers and witnesses to provide the federal government with materially false information to hide their illegal activities. Federal officials say that the slavery ring extended across southern Georgia, where farmers paid the conspirators to provide contract laborers. Often they were sold to other members of the crime ring in southern Georgia counties of Atkinson, Bacon, Coffee, Tatnall, Toombs, and Ware. But the illegal activities extended within the southern, middle, and northern districts of Georgia, the middle district of Florida, the southern district of Texas. The defendants then allegedly laundered the cash by siphoning millions into a casino through the purchases of land, home, vehicles, and businesses. The indictment also states that between September 2018 and 2019, a member of the crime ring repeatedly raped, kidnapped, and tried to kill victim 12. Those crimes were allegedly aided and abetted by the only two defendants described in the indictment as the business owners Charles King, the owners of Kingberry Farms, and Stanley McGauley, the owner of Hilltop Packing. They now are facing, get this, get the charges that they're getting. Let me see the chat. Let me see the chats. Let me see the chat here. They are facing charges including mail fraud, conspiracy, forced labor, and forced conspiracy. I'm sorry, let me start over. They are now facing charges including mail fraud and mail fraud conspiracy, forced labor and forced labor conspiracy, money laundering conspiracy, and witness tampering. Where is the charge for people being held against their will? Where is the charge for people being held against their will? Does that make any sense to you? Does that make any sense to you? Why are they only being charged with mail fraud conspiracy, forced labor conspiracy, people being held against their will? I mean, we did just read that there were electric fences that were put up to keep these people in. We need a justice overhaul. And then get this. This seems to be the U.S. Attorney Office believes it may be one of the country's largest ever human trafficking and visa fraud investigations. The feds opened up the investigation into the gang on November of 2019, involving Homeland Security investigations, the Labor Department, the Department of State's Diplomatic Security Service, and the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, and the FBI. During the investigation, more than 200 law enforcement officers and federal agents from around the United States convened in the Southern District of Georgia to execute more than 20 federal search warrants at target locations. We are aware of somewhere around 70,000 who have come under the H-2A program fraudulently, SD says at the news conference of November 22nd. We have 100 actual victims in our district that we are able to locate. The American dream is a powerful attraction for the destitute and desperate people across the globe. And where there is need, there is greed from those who will attempt to exploit these willing workers for their own obscene profits, he added. Thanks to the outstanding work of our law enforcement partners, Operation Blooming Onion frees more than 100 individuals from the shackles of modern-day slavery and will hold accountable those who put them in chains. I also want to mention that a lot of times these operations with the farmers, with the packing plants, the forced labor farms or whatever, they have a lot of communication with the beginning part, with the cartels, with the people who organize this, maybe the NGOs that organize the destination for these migrants. And what happens is they get lured in Latin America, in Honduras, in whatever Latin American country, and they're like, come to the United States, probably even more so now, now that we have open borders. It's like, come to the United States. We've got a job for you. We're going to take care of you. We've got housing, all these things. And then they end up in these situations. This is what happens. This is what happens. And a lot of times, this is why it's important, when I was at the border, I discovered how important it was to talk to these people, because a lot of times we don't understand, like, yes, they're coming over, but we don't understand what the other narrative is like on the other side, right? Like, we don't know what NGOs are being paid to, like, sell certain stories, like, come over, we're gonna finance you a coach bus, you're gonna be able to come here for free, we have a place for you to sleep, and all these things. They get here and then they end up in the situation. We don't know the other side of exploitation to how this even occurs in the very beginning. So, like, I get it. And listen, like there's a lot going on with the open borders being so porous, and there's a lot of problems. But we also have to think like there has to be a beginning process to this, and that's where it becomes a little bit more nefarious. That's a process we have no transparency to, but something is happening on the other side where they are coercing, collaborating, and coordinating these people to come over, and then they end up in these situations. Yep. It's so much bigger than us. All right. This is another, I apologize story, but this is the irony of people working in, adolescent industries, but that are actual pedophiling cabinets. PlayStation executive 64 is fired after he was caught inviting a 15-year-old boy to his house for sex in Predator Sting operation streamed live on YouTube. That's right, PlayStation executive. PlayStation executive, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody play PlayStation, or they have children that play PlayStation? This is scary. A PlayStation executive, I believe he's a VP. We'll find out. Has been fired after he was filmed inviting what he thought to be a 15-year-old boy into his house for mutual oral by an amateur predator sting group. 𝐁𝐴𝐸𝐽𝑒𝑗, 64 years old, allegedly sent explicit photos and his GPS location to a user of the gay hookup app Grindr in October. The decoy, actually a member of the YouTube account People vs. Preds, claimed to have recently turned 15. On Friday, the executive was filmed waiting for the child outside his San Diego area home while wearing a PS5 t-shirt after he and the decoy agreed to meet in person. The videographer confronts him, and 𝐁𝐴𝐸𝑗𝑒 shuts the door. I think it's 𝐁𝐴𝐸𝑃𝐿𝑒? 𝐿𝐴𝐸𝑃𝐿𝑒? I think it's 𝐁𝐴𝐸𝑃𝐿E. 𝐁𝐴𝐸𝑃𝐿E has been a senior vice president of engineering at the video game company for years. We are aware of the situation and the employee in question. He has been terminated from the employment. Sony, which owns PlayStation, told CNET on Sunday. 𝐁𝐴𝐸𝑃𝐿E, who lives in Carmel Valley, sent multiple photos of his penis, according to the censored screenshots posted by People vs. Pride. For those that wonder, I have to censor my words because of certain platforms that I stream on. I know that some of you guys are listening to me on morning show. You're probably wondering what the heck is going on. I have to because of censorship issues. I just in order for me to stay on the platform, I've got to code my words certain ways. So pedophiling cabinet, pedophile, and then penis for a certain genitalia. Yeah. The San Diego Police Department, which oversees the area, did not immediately respond to requests for comment on dailymail.com. It is unclear if he will face any he better face any criminal charges. He better face criminal charges. 𝐁𝐴𝑸𝑃𝐿E had Grindr profiles under his names Giving H, as in, Giving H, hosting BJ for you, like for the number 4U, according to screenshots shared on Google Drive by People vs. Pred accounts. He appears to have messaged the decoy first on October 10th. It's not clear what the decoy's profile looks like. You getting est? Got photos? Ew, gross, like, ugh. Gross. This is a 15-year-old boy. He said, you like getting est? Got photos? 𝐁𝐴𝑸𝑃𝐿E asked. He sends a picture of himself. Then the decoy tells him he's 14. He appears to ignore the warning. Photos, he asked again. Very nice. He asked after receiving one. The gaming executive then asked the teen about his sexual experiences, including whether he's ever performed oral. and shares his location, the Carmel Valley residential community in San Diego. And then, there's just like, I don't want to repeat the way that he was talking to this little boy, or this figurative little boy. Like, this is just gross. Like, I can't. 𝐭𝐡 was a senior. He says something explicit to the decoy. It's gross, and I'm not going to say it. 𝐭𝐡 was the senior vice president engineering at PlayStation, where he worked for 8 years, according to his LinkedIn page. It's not known if he's married or has any children. His conversation with the fake teen picked up again on Friday, according to People vs. Preds. The actual dates and the conversations will not be independently verified. 𝐭𝐡 initiates the exchange and sends a photo of himself. He asks for more explicit photos, excuse me. So he sends a location to the decoy, and you can see the conversation where he takes a picture of himself, his 64-year-old self, sends it to the decoy, and then you can see the conversation happening here. It says, "You play PS5, you cute, not right now. Oh, so what do you like? Sorry, don't want to get on here with a small plan." And I believe he responds, "Cuddling, kissing, mutual." Here, you can read it. Starts with an O. Okay, so what are we going to do then? And then he says, "Cuddly, kissing, mutual O. My dad's at work till 10 a.m. And then they discuss a meet. I'm gonna show you guys the video. You guys can just see the video. You guys can listen to it too.
Hey, what's up? Hey, how's it going? Good. Are you Jeff? Hey, what's up, Jeff? How's it going? Doing good. Who you out here to meet tonight, Jeff? Jeff, we can have a conversation, or I can call the cops, Jeff. Jeff, I can call the cops, or we can have a conversation.
No.
You want it? Jeff, you want to have a conversation? Jeff, I got your face on video, you fucking scumbag. You want me to call the cops? All right, I'll call the cops. You're invited over a 15-year-old kid tonight to have sex. Excuse me, everybody. This guy invited over a 15-year-old boy to have sex with him tonight. You want me to get loud, or you want to have a conversation?
May I know the purpose of your visit?
Hey, you want me to get loud, or do you want to have a conversation? All right, you want me to get loud?
Sorry.
Excuse me, everybody. This guy invited over a 15-year-old boy to have sex with him tonight. Oh, you hiding up there? The cops will be here soon, scumbag.
Wow. I mean, look, I got mixed feelings about people doing this, taking this in their own hands, because this is obviously, it can be dangerous. Like, legitimately, it can be dangerous. Legit. But I understand the other side too, where it's frustrating because it seems like the justice system does very little. It takes a long time for people to like actually respond to, like, help, or if they need help or whatever. And not all the time, it depends on the police department, depends on the agency, the what am I trying to think of? The police, you guys understand, like the location-based police department, whatever. It depends. It depends how they're run, how they're managed, all these things. But sometimes the justice system just isn't really nice to people who are like exploited like this, So anyway, that's the news, guys. Yeah, I gotta go rest my voice, because this is dark, right? This all gets dark, and I need to go get my sleep. And sometimes this is just, it's too much. It's too much. But again, I totally understand. Like, sometimes people feel like it's like, well, the justice system is not doing anything, and like, there's only so much that police officers can do, and they're getting commands from the top down. So it's like, we can't, what else are we supposed to do? It's sometimes like we feel desperate as a society. So what are we to do? So I completely understand sometimes. It's like a pick your poison. Like sometimes these are really dangerous things that happen. And they're chanced, or we, just continue doing what we're doing. So, oh gosh. Woof. Rocky, thank you so much for modding for me tonight. Thank you all for, and Sophia, how are you? Thank you so much for modding for me tonight. I'm going to go rest my voice. I got to work. I got to work in with the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. There was just so much to cover today. So I'm going to rest up. You guys have a great night or morning or day whenever you're listening to me. And I will catch you guys in the next cast. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Unravel with Natly Denise. Please give this podcast 5 stars.